Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today for Elle Studio, and I'm sharing with you this layout. The idea of this layout is over on the Elle Studio blog. It's called Teach Me Tutorial, and I'm showing you how you can use labels as not just places for journaling and dates, but also how you can use it to create a grid and nestle things within the label, kind of like its own mini palette, to create a cool broken grid layout. This is a longer video, so be sure to grab a cup of coffee and buckle down. I do a lot of shuffling. Those of you who follow my work know I have the Suzanna title shuffle. Well, this is called the Suzanna label shuffle. It's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle putting this together, and I build the layout with the labels and a 3x4 card from the kit, and I decide that I don't want the 3x4 card where it is because it's down by the photo, you'll see as it comes up, and so I want to rearrange that, which means that I have to rearrange everything around it. So this, what I'm doing in order to kind of ground the labels is I've created a sidebar on the left hand side there, and so I've used the paper stack, the Autumn Days paper stack, and I've made that fit my 12x12 paper. And I am just backing this single photo. I had two photos initially, but it wasn't going to leave me enough room for all of the labels. And I really wanted to feature bits and pieces of info within the labels. And this one photo really does tell you the story. You didn't need that second photo that I had. So these are the neutral die cut labels that come with the, are part of the October add-ons that I am using to now create a grid around the page. If I was smart and I was thinking, I would have started with the 3x4 card instead of doing right there. So I do use it, but I'm not thinking about the placement of and the symmetry of the grid so that you have that cohesive look and the connectedness of everything. Having them so close to each other is, it makes the rest of it look piecemealed. And so I will put this together and then I will realize that and then go in and change this. The other thing you need to think about in creating this grid and working this grid is that you want to have some logical harmony as well as some visual harmony to it. So with logical harmony, that's what I'm referring to with those two 3x4 cards next to each other. It's not really logical because you get stuck in that, and for the same reason, visual harmony. I also know that I don't want all of those labels to be, I want some white spaces in there that I'm going to use to fill with other things so that you have that rectangular border all the way around the grid, but not necessarily everything filling in. There are some white spaces so that you can kind of pair things with it. So I've got all the bits and pieces, and I'm using, you can see I always get acetate, and they're the acetate stars. You can see they come in different shades of red. There's a lighter shade and kind of a more maroon red. And so I'm using the different sizes and the different shades to add more color and more maroon throughout the layout. So there's actually some irony in this layout. Those of you who follow my work will know that yesterday I posted that my son has actually now verbally committed, or is now actually committed to swimming and going to school next year at Virginia Tech. So this initial decision, Alabama, he committed to last year, and I actually had a layout about that, about his verbal commitment last year. He was 17 last year. Actually, he was celebrating his 17th birthday on his trip down to Alabama. And he was way too young, really, from a mature perspective, to be able to make that decision. And so he committed, and we didn't really say anything. We kind of let it go. And the past month has been rather soul searching for him, and he has changed that. He is no longer going to Bama, but this page is important because he it is his official acceptance to the University of Alabama. He did that all entirely on his own. He submitted his application, and so this will be it is his first official acceptance to college, but not where he's going to go. So it's, like I said, it's still an important page, and I will have a second story, obviously. I think I'm going to do official acceptance part 2 when he gets officially accepted to Virginia Tech. So what I did there was so the neutral labels are obviously all gray and black. And there was one red or maroon label in the kit, the monthly kit, but I wanted to have a little bit more maroon in the label. I didn't want that one standing out on its own. So I used the label stamp and matching dies to create a maroon label. That's what I was doing when I was rambling on about the story. And now what I want to do is I need to find a home for the title. I've decided I'm going to use that gray pattern paper to fill that large white space there. I really like that. I like that coming off of the card. That's perfect. But this is where I decide that card is not going to work where it is, and so we do the Suzanna shuffle of all of the labels, the Suzanna label shuffle. A lot of things actually end up staying where they were originally, and then I don't like that I have that long black label on the right hand side and then that long photo on the left hand side. It just feels like everything is it's too blocky. It doesn't give you that visual harmony that I'm looking for there. So I'm going to shuffle things around a little bit, and what I've forgotten in my shuffle now is the title. So also this month, as part of the add-ons, are the medium Jane alpha stamps. These are absolutely amazing. If you follow my Elle Studio work or any of my work, you know that I use these stamps a lot. I use the dies that coordinate with this a lot. The medium Jane stamps don't have dies currently. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Elle will create those for us. But I need to get the title in here, and so I'm putting the letters down on my block so that I can now work around the rest of the grid. And so you can understand what I said earlier on when I opened the video with how it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. You get the pieces, and you know that you have to use all the pieces. And in this case, you don't have to, but you want to use all the pieces. And then you have to find a way to make them fit within the grid. Now, I'm a little type A, highlighted, bolded, and underlined. And so I'm okay with a few things sticking out, but I really did want that visual illusion, that visual harmony of the rectangle going all of the way around the outer edge of the border of that grid. And so that's why I play with the labels, and not only did I need the shape of the labels to fit, but I also wanted the colors to, I didn't want a whole bunch of gray in one corner and then the weight of the black all in another corner. So I also had to not only figure out size, but color and the weight of those different colors as well. So these are some Jane Alpha stickers. These are a staple in my collection. I have sheets and sheets of this black as well as the red, and you'll see I use these quite a bit. So obviously my color palette is based around Alabama. Bama colors are maroon, gray, and then obviously I've got white and black in there as balanced colors. So official is definitely stamped on there, and I'm going to put acceptance is those Jane Alphas, but I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to house those. I've committed to a lot of these other things, and the great thing about the adhesive that I'm using is if I don't like it, I can pull it up, and it's usually pretty easy to just use my finger to rub that adhesive off. So a lot of these are empty right now, these labels, but I am going to use them to either house journaling. I've got 2 journaling spots, or a date, or just some embellishments. So there's acceptance. I know I'm going to put it on that label there. And what I've decided as I do this is that I really want acceptance to be lined up directly underneath the O of official. I could have set it off to the side, but it kind of read funny the way that the labels do create such a grid. And so looking for that cohesiveness, that's why I decided to put it there. So what I'm doing here is backing one of the two hearts with foam, again, just for a little bit of dimension. And that one I also cut. I just traced out the heart that came in the kit, and I traced that so that I would have the same sort of type of heart, tall, skinny heart throughout the page there. So you can see how the grid is coming together and how it has those defined borders around the edge and how the labels have created that. And you can see how that the stars integrate because of their opacity, because they are opaque, it kind of creates this neat white space. It's a filling of the white space, but a still continued white space, if that makes any sense. So I like that better, how I've broken up that large black label on the right hand side there with the two smaller labels. Yes, you have the gray and gray together, but I'm going to stamp in red and then have a black, one of the chipboard stickers in there, which breaks that up and gives you that visual contrast in there, then the weight of different things. So I want another heart up at the top there. I feel like I need a little bit more that black heart. It provides a little bit of black contrast to the black label with the star just above the photo, as well as the photo that's got the black around it. So you kind of have that those three denser areas to look at, which creates a little bit more balance and symmetry throughout the layout there. I am usually pretty good at editing that out. I'm not sure what I was doing. I'm sorry. I was looking for a different size star. So I really loved the really big acetate stars, but there was really no need for it in the layout. It was too big, really. So I was looking for a smaller star there. And so a couple things that I am going to do off camera. In that gray label to the right of official, I'm going to use one of the Elle Studio date stamps and date the day that he received that official acceptance. I am also going to, in the gray label next to the photo, use some of those mini puffy stickers, the Autumn Tiny Shapes and Dots puffy stickers. I'm going to use the maroon, the black, and the gray stars in that label. And I think, in the gray label, funny how they're all gray, on the gray label to the right of the journaling, so many things to be thankful for, I am going to write in my own handwriting last year, and then I'm going to use the typewriter alpha stamp and use the big @ sign, and then I'm going to use the home die cut from the kit there, so that each of those little canvases has something, and some of them are empty, and that's perfectly fine, because to me that's just white space and it's part of the design of the layout there. I do have a couple of labels that overlap, and I like that because it provides that connectedness, and I'm also using the stamps, some of the documented stamps. You can see I stamped in gray, celebrate this. And I also, you saw I stamped here, I'm going to use an and from the Jane stickers that I used for the title. There's an and or plus sign so that it brings together here and now. And that is actually one word in the stamp set, but I broke it up so that it moves along the same line as the hearts there. So to put these acetate stars down, I put my adhesive, I use dot adhesive, a dot roller, directly on the cardstock, and then I put the acetate star on, and if you don't press too hard, you don't see those little dots that come through. Now, if you look at the close-ups, you might see them, but honestly, when you look at the layout itself without the light shining on it directly, especially behind a page protector, you do not see those dots. So if you're looking for a way to adhere those without using a mini attacher, or that is the best way to do it, I have found. So I've pretty much got all of my little palettes in there. I really want to use these hearts as well, and so I am going to fussy cut them. You can see that that left heart is orange, and that is not going to work on this page. It'll be the one sore thumb that sticks out, but I'm okay with that because I know that I can always find tons of hearts in my Elle Studio puffy stickers. See, there we go. And I'm just going to cover that up perfect, and you would have had no idea that that was not what belonged there. So also as part of the add-ons this month are these awesome chipboard pieces. They're all phrases and sayings, and I put remember this there, and then this one that I'm holding says this right here, and I love the way that it's going to fill in the space next to acceptance. It's absolutely perfect there. I had a couple of other die cuts from the kit that I thought that I would use, but they weren't quite the same color family, and they weren't going to work. So these autumn tiny shapes and dots are awesome, and you can see where I've used them to fill in to get a little bit more color throughout the page. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask them in the box down below. Enjoy the close-ups. Thanks for stopping in today, and I hope you're doing well. Come back again soon. Take care.